You walk into a room. There's someone there. They're talking easily, laughing without hesitation, taking up space without even trying. And within seconds, without them saying a single word to you, you feel smaller. Your shoulders pull in. Your voice, when you do speak, comes out quieter than usual. You didn't do anything wrong. Nothing happened. And yet, just being near them made you feel like you had to shrink. If you've ever felt this way around someone who seemed effortlessly confident, you're not imagining it, and you're far from the only one. So why does someone else's confidence make you feel smaller? Why does their ease in a room translate into your own unease? It's not jealousy, and it's not necessarily admiration either. It's something more automatic than that, something happening beneath conscious thought, in a part of your brain you don't get to control. Psychologists point out that humans are wired to constantly, unconsciously assess social hierarchy, who holds status in a room, who commands attention, who others defer to. This isn't a modern invention, it's an ancient survival mechanism, one that helped our ancestors navigate group dynamics where social standing could determine safety and resources. When your brain detects someone displaying strong confidence, steady eye contact, relaxed posture, unhurried speech, it automatically registers them as higher status. And in response, your nervous system quietly shifts you into a more submissive, cautious posture, often before you've even consciously registered why. But there's a cultural layer that makes this worse. We're taught from a young age that confidence equals worth, that the confident person is the successful one, the one people should listen to, the one who's figured it out. So when you feel intimidated by someone's confidence, it's not just a nervous system reaction anymore, it becomes a judgment against yourself. You start to believe that your hesitation, your quieter voice, your need to think before speaking means you're somehow less capable. Society rarely tells us that quiet, careful, thoughtful people bring just as much value. It just doesn't get the same spotlight. There's also a very real biological component here. When you perceive a social threat, even one as subtle as feeling less than in a conversation, your body can trigger a mild stress response. Cortisol rises slightly, heart rate can increase, and in more chronic cases, this ongoing low-grade social stress has been linked to disrupted sleep patterns. Your brain, still running on ancient wiring, doesn't fully distinguish between this person might physically harm me and this person makes me feel outmatched in a conversation. Both can trigger a similar internal alarm. This is why some people feel this far more intensely than others. If you tend to be more introspective, more sensitive to social cues, or if you've spent time in environments where your voice wasn't heard or valued, your nervous system becomes more finely tuned to detect social hierarchy, and more likely to respond by shrinking rather than matching that energy. It's not a personality flaw, it's simply that your system has learned, through experience, to prioritize caution over confrontation in these moments. And often, this pattern has roots that go back much further than the room you're standing in today. Maybe you grew up around a sibling who always seemed to command more attention. Maybe a teacher, a parent, or an early friend group made you feel like your voice mattered less when someone louder or more assertive was around. Your brain doesn't forget these early lessons, it files them away as a kind of blueprint. So when you meet someone new who radiates that same kind of confidence, your nervous system doesn't just see a stranger, it sees an old, familiar pattern and reacts the way it learned to react back then. But here's the shift that changes everything. Feeling intimidated by someone's confidence isn't a sign that you lack value. In fact, the very sensitivity that makes you attuned to social hierarchy, that makes you pause before speaking, that makes you consider your words carefully, that's often a sign of deeper self-awareness. Confident people aren't inherently more capable, they're often just less inhibited. Your hesitation might come from thinking more deeply, weighing your words more carefully, or genuinely caring about how you come across. That's not weakness, that's thoughtfulness, and thoughtfulness has its own kind of quiet power. So if you've ever felt small around someone confident, you're not broken, and you're not less than. You're responding exactly the way millions of people do to a very old survival instinct that hasn't quite caught up with modern social life. Feeling intimidated doesn't mean you have less to offer. It just means your nervous system is doing what it was designed to do, scanning for social safety in a world that no longer requires it the way it once did. Confidence is often just practice, not proof of worth. And the fact that you notice, that you reflect, that you feel, these are not signs of inadequacy. They're signs that you're paying attention to something most people move through without a second thought. Your quiet strength was never less valuable. It's simply been given less airtime. Do you ever feel intimidated by someone's confidence even when you know they haven't done anything to you? Drop it in the comments and tell us who comes to mind when you think of this. If building genuine, grounded confidence, not performative, but real, is something you want to work on, we've put together a simple guide on quiet confidence and self-trust. Links in the description if you'd like to check